And you are watching another edition of Blue Splits. Let me know if the audio is screwed up. Actually, it might be. I'm just going to cancel what I was just doing. I was going to try to put up two screens so I could pull up current comments and the comments like through the chat, but it just wasn't going to work. So we're just going to have to run through it with just the normal stuff. Been about 2.5 weeks probably since I've been here. During the off season, it's a little bit less busy in terms of like news. I'm going to do streams every other week, just because I still have, I think 23 more reviews to record, which is absurd. The most I've ever done. We'll talk about Tim Patrick. That review will be out for the 90 people who will watch it. I appreciate it, but it's worth doing. It took 5-6 hours, however long it takes to watch. Actually, probably closer to 10. Watch all those games, clip it, put it up. Some of them have been struggling a little bit though. I'm not gonna lie. Like Demario Davis got like 300 views. Like, oh, all right, well, here we are. But nonetheless, I know some of the subscribers and stuff subscribe for that reason, so I appreciate it. But yeah, not a ton. There's a good chunk of things to recap. Obviously, the schedule, right? We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the Tim Patrick signing, the Breece Hall signing, etc. Take all the questions from the chat. Playing reviews coming. You said Demario Davis just dropped. Pons is dropping soon. Fitzpatrick dropped. Quite a few coming. All the free agents, all of the draft picks for the Jets. If you are interested in that stuff, will be dropping $3 a month. You get the full review with the list of strengths and weaknesses included. If you don't, you get like the short 10 to 15 minute video, but a lot coming. Oh yeah, Armand Membu came out too. I'll put that one out if you're interested in going back and watching how good or how bad was his season, or was it overrated? How good was it? Fashion News coming out, McDonald, anywhere from those guys all the way to freaking Malachi Moore and Francis Maui Noah, AZ Thomas, whoever else it may be. But to start off the week, I think the biggest thing that happened was really rookie minicamp happened. I think people are getting obviously a little bit crazy with some of the Cade Klubnik stuff. Obviously, I think it's more so of a joke from people, right? Like just seeing the flow, seeing him rock 10. A skinnier, faster Chad Pennington. I get the vibes. People want the quarterback, to save the franchise. But is it Klubnik? I'm not so sure. But while we're talking about him, you can enjoy some Klubnik highlights that I made. That's about 10 minutes long because I watched a good chunk of his 2024 and 2025 season. And again, we'll get through the rest of the news. The thing I love about these streams for me personally is like, obviously I know there's different types of shows out there, and this isn't like a call-in show, and not, like we have some fun, but it's not like the craziest topic type of show. But any like questions you guys have about prospects or anything like that, please ask them. If you haven't kind of had your question answered already by somebody else or the internet, or you don't really care anymore because the draft was, 3 weeks ago, but did my watch back of all of their previous seasons. Every game, before the draft, I watched like 5 to 8 games of these guys. Post draft, I watched every single game of their prior season. Some of them, like Cade Klubnik, I even tapped a little bit back into 2024 just to see what was the difference between Klubnik in 24 and 25. And was it him? Was it the receivers? Was it the offensive line? Whatever it may be. So been grinding with that stuff quite literally right after this. We're going to get a Omar Cooper Jr. review out there. I've been recording a lot with Scott Mason. So even if you don't listen to Scott Mason, Play Like a Jet on your, podcast, Spotify, whatever other, forums you can listen to the podcast, go to Play Like a Jet and listen to some of those reviews. Cause we did all the rookie class. We've recorded all the rookie class. I'm not sure when all of them are coming out. I know a few of them are coming out already. So, instead of listening to some bullshit, whatever, if you want to turn on a podcast for 25 minutes and go through all the lists of strengths and weaknesses of these guys and where they fit best and et cetera, then do that. But yeah, really the first kind of thing in terms of like going chronological order that I got to recap is some of the rookie minicamp stuff, which again, who really cares? Like realistically going through the picks, not going to really see much from David Bailey. Can say that, I like the way he speaks. I like that he's wearing 31. I know people don't like the 31 number for an edge rusher. For me personally, it's like, It's like kind of like a family heirloom type of number a little bit for me. So I love the number 31 Glenn as well. So hoping he works out, no doubt about it. I could say, and I'm not going to rehash the entire David Bailey thing. And some people are like, oh, just give up on it, whatever. Like, I'm just going to give my opinion. If you've been following me for a little bit, I could say I went back and I watched his entire 2025 season. And I still feel the same. I felt whilst giving my opinion, the prior 3 or 4 months, still feel the same way. So I'm not going to rehash it. If you know at this point, I don't need to go over it all. But still feel similarly as I felt. Past that, there really wasn't much from Omar Cooper Jr. Right? He picked 83, which I like. I like receivers in the 80s. I like him in the teens and the single digits as well. I'm not going to lie. Like, if he picked like 3 or 2 or 1 or whatever, I would have been fine with it. But 83, shout out to Santana Moss. Kenyon Sadiq, didn't see much again from him. Number 16, fine with it. Past that, we have Darrell. I think it's Darrell Jackson Jr. I forget the first name. It's not Darnell, it's Darrell. Did my review of him. I would say in terms of value, he's probably my least favorite pick. And just with how the 4th round worked out for the Jets, I would have rather, like if the Jets preferred Cade Klubnik so much, I would have rather just taking Cade Klubnik at 103 and then hope Jackson fell to 128. Clearly, they liked him quite a bit to not skip on him at 103 and then have to trade up for Klubnik. I don't agree with that personally with my assessment of him. I think he could be a fine run stuffer at the NFL level, but if you're expecting anything as a pass rusher, I think you're going to be left wanting more. I think if you want him to be a guy who could push the pocket a little bit in bull rush, I think he has a potential to do that, but his technique is all over the place. He plays very high. His movements are very segmented. And I'm not comparing him to this player one for one because they're completely different. They play different positions, or at least they should. But his movements are very similar. Again, do not crush me for this, but they're very similar to Michael Clemens. Like, how he runs around, he's kind of just like looks like he's not really in control of his body. That's kind of how Darrell Jackson looks. Now, with that being said, he should be playing more interior defensive line, so you're not going to need to move as much, right? That's the huge problem with Michael Clemens is he's playing big end, and this game is so fast now and so lateral that you put him on the edge versus Josh Allen versus a receiver versus a running back, you're screwed. So should help a little bit that Darrell Jackson is inside. Now, the one thing that kind of not leaked out of training camp, it came out in training camp, was that the Jets were considering playing him more like 3 to 5 tech in some instances. Me personally, I don't agree with that at all because I just don't see the movement skills. Now, with that being said, if it's a thing where they know he's only going to play rundowns and he's going to be a big 3 tech because he listed in the combine, I believe at 315, but people say he played at closer to 330, 335 during the season. So he lightened his weight for the agility drills and stuff like that. I would have him bulk back up to 330, even get him up to 340 and in the future be a pretty strict like nose tackle, D tackle in some, bigger sets. But if the Jets' plan this year is some games, transparently, I think he'll be inactive, and maybe not. Maybe he really impresses, and then he's getting 5 to 10 snaps in some games. But if your plan for Darrell Jackson Jr. is to, play him as a 3 tech or a 5 tech, it's going to be in run situations, right? Because past that, you can't rush the passer from a 5 tech. And a 3 tech, fine, he can. So I'm okay with anywhere from 0 to 3. 5, I'm not about it. Unless, again, it's a run situation, right? It's 3rd and 1, 3rd and goal from the 1 yard line, or it's just 3rd and 1 in general, and the team is going to run it, and you want to get like your beefcakes out there, and you have a combination of Tavondre Sweat, Darrell Jackson, Harrison Phillips, Enagbari, and Briggs on the field at the same time. Good luck running on the Jets. Good luck, unless you're going lateral. But with that being said, the Jets have some really good tackling or willing tacklers at defensive back as well. Like Minka is okay. I think that's one of his, for the most part, he's very strong in everything. Tackling is something that can be a little more sketchy for him, but overall, pretty decent there. But Stevens is a plus tackler at corner. Pons is a plus tackler at corner. Brownlee is a plus tackler at corner. Deshaun Wright, obviously really slender, but a guy who's definitely willing to bang a little bit. Malachi Moore was a really good tackler at Alabama. Wasn't so great last year, but still. Sorry, if you can hear like a background noise, it's my kid riding his bike above me because I'm in my office, which is in my basement. But yeah, so if that's the plan for Darrell Jackson, fine. But the thing I could say about him was like watching his interviews and stuff, and just like seeing how like jovial he's seen and stuff. They started talking about Inez Cooper. He's a guy you want to root for, and I want to root for all these guys, regardless. But actually, let me just I'll pull up some plays of him, and that should end soon. As soon as my mother-in-law hopefully gets here and can entertain my child for me. We have an agreement, like, hey, once a week, I come over for 2-3 hours so I can do some football stuff, and that's the agreement. So that'll end in a minute if you can hear it. This is some Darrell Jackson. Past that, obviously, Klubnik stuff, the flow, the wind in the hair, the slow motion of him walking out. I get it. He has the if he reaches his absolute max ceiling, then yeah, he could be a starter. Like people will say, oh well, his ceiling is a backup. And then my question to that would be, okay, well, what is limiting him athletically in terms of him not being and again, I am not predicting this at all, but what's limiting him in terms of being a starter? Like he has a B- arm. He has the athleticism. He needs to gain a little bit more size, 207. I'd like to see him bulk up to maybe like 220. I think like 6'2", 220 is kind of like the minimum threshold you kind of want to reach as a quarterback. So want to see him bulk up a little bit. But a lot of people say, yeah, he can't be a starter. And trust me, I am not predicting he's going to be a starter at all. That is, I think if you get him to be a quality backup, you kind of hit on that pick right there. But people will say that, but then why? Like, what's the reason? Is it his arm? Is it the lack of athleticism? Is it the lack of size? Like, what exactly is the reason for that? So I think an absolute grand slam for him would be, okay, yeah, he's a starter because he has all the physical capabilities to do so. Now, do I think it's going to happen? No, I don't. Like he's lacking mentally at times, post snap reads, anticipation, throws, comes off of his first read too early, forces balls. His technique's not always great with his throwing motion and stuff like that. Even though he's a quick release, his base is not always great. So I would anticipate him being, I think he was a quarterback 2 this year after camp. That's a win. Would I ever project him to be a starter? No, but if you're talking about him reaching his absolute ceiling, I don't see how you could say, okay, he can't be a low end starter. But nonetheless, I would not predict that. There's been some Sorsby stuff over the last couple of weeks. Again, I'm just recapping kind of lightning round what's been going on the last 2.5 weeks, and I'll get to the chat and we kind of naturally get into stuff through there. Personally, I wouldn't do it for anything more than a 4th round pick. That is me. Just because really it's twofold this year based on everybody that I trust. And I'm a little bit sparing who I trust, but it seems like he was kind of more of like a 3rd or a 4th round guy. If he was to come out this year, no problems, 3rd or 4th round guy. Okay. And even if you want to say a low 2nd to a high 3rd, fine. We'll be more positive on Sorsby. He's a high end 2nd, low end 3rd round pick. Now you have the suspension, you have the gambling thing, which it seems like a legitimate problem with Sorsby. It's not something where like, oh, he just bet on Oklahoma or on college football like an idiot. He's like live betting pitches during baseball games. So it seems like it's a legitimate problem with Sorsby. So you have that. Along with that, how long is he suspended? Is he suspended for a couple of games, half a season, a full season? Okay. So that's the second thing. Third thing is the timeline, right? Like if he is suspended or even if he's not suspended, how are you going to be able to figure out what Sorsby is this year? Like, is there anything that Sorsby or Klubnik can really do this season to prove to you that you are not going to draft a quarterback in apparently a generational quarterback class next year? No, probably not. Being realistic. Now, obviously, if Geno Smith goes down in week 4 and then Klubnik comes in for a month and is dominating and he dominates the entire season, yeah, like, of course, that's a technical possibility. But being realistic, Geno, knock on wood, has been pretty healthy. Klubnik comes in for 2-3 games at the end of the season, looks okay, has some spots, looks bad in some spots. You're drafting a quarterback. If Sorsby's on the roster, what are you doing? He's coming from a smaller school. He's pretty green. Everybody says has all the raw talent, but mentally he needs a long way to go. So he's a guy who needs to cook. So you're going to dump a second. Some people are talking about a fucking 2nd round pick for him, a 2nd or a 3rd round pick for him to sit on the bench the entire year. You draft a quarterback in 2021, and now your 2nd round pick is a backup next year who you know nothing about with Klubnik as a 4th round pick. It's just like, how are you operating that quarterback room? And next year, let's say you're bringing Arch Manning, you want Sorsby and Klubnik as his backups with no veteran leadership at the quarterback position, and I get like it's the coaching that really determines these quarterbacks and if they're going to be successful and stuff. But I'm not I'm not that's on me. I'm not a 4th round pick at the highest, and that's just like I would be okay with it. I still probably wouldn't even necessarily understand it. I don't 5th, 6th, something like that. But for the people talking about 2nd round pick, it's because people are starving for a quarterback right now. You can type in Sorsby highlights. You can see him making a bunch of good plays, but you have to watch everything, right? Like I quite literally made a 2-minute, 3-minute highlight tape of Tim Patrick, and if you watch it, like okay, he's great, but realistically, we know what he is, right? Like he's a receiver 4, receiver 5, So not doing the Sorsby thing, kind of going on about the quarterbacks. The next pick for the Jets, mini camp again, didn't really hear much of anything. After Klubnik, we went with it was Inez Cooper, who is a fun player. He's definitely a fun player. The thing I put up quite a bit on Twitter and just in general, even on Scott's podcast. I don't know if that one dropped yet. I don't know if it did. Do not let people tell you, and I've heard this, that he's a better run blocker than a pass blocker. It is unequivocally not true. If people are saying that, they're seeing 6'6", 330, Mauler, strong, must mean he's better in the run game. Couldn't be farther from the truth. Same thing with Membu last year. I lost a lot of respect for a good amount of people who were saying Membu run again. Legitimately, everybody who said this, I automatically knew what you were about. Membu, better run blocker than pass blocker. The only reason that was a thing last year was because there's a 5 or 6 play highlight film of him playing Oklahoma where he was burying guys. But if you actually watched Membu at college, he was much farther along as a pass protector. And it still stands that he's a better pass blocker than he's a run blocker right now. Same thing for Cooper. Big, strong doesn't mean good run blocker. There's a lot more to the game, right? Like, and again, there's highlights here, so I can make a highlight of anybody. And people on Twitter, I'll be like, oh, he's not the best run blocker in the world, and somebody will comment with like a play or two of him dominating a guy. I'm like, I get it, trust me, I'm making highlight films. But again, you could do that for anybody. I can make a highlight film of Brady Cook and make him look good. With that being said, I don't know how you really do these percentages, but like the game is 90% mental and technical and 10% physical. Like, yeah, you need some level of physicality and ability, whatever it may be. But my problem with Cooper is in the run game is he plays way too high. His hands are way too late. His hands are way too wide. And he doesn't really sustain blocks for as long as he should because he just doesn't have the best leverage and he doesn't have the best hand placement. So I like Cooper. I'm expecting him to, again, I don't really expect him to see time this year. Transparently, I think you're going to see more of, if a guard goes out, Max Mitchell can play a little bit of guard. Jonathan Harrison can play guard. And in my opinion, the biggest need on the Jets and one of the bigger gripes I have with this season or with this offseason so far is that they're just letting Josh Myers walk in as a starter. I don't like that. Josh Myers last year was brought in to be a high-end backup or a low-end starter. Disregard that. He wasn't even brought in to be a low-end starter. He was brought in to be a high-end versatile backup. That's what they paid him to be. That's what he is. That's what he played like last year. He did not. It's not like he played and was some decent starter and like, okay, we can roll with him as the weakest link on the offensive line. No, he was not good last year. I could pull up the list of free agents and stuff like that. Like, there are guys out there who could potentially start. Again, I'd have to go back and watch and do research and whatever. And I don't subscribe to like ESPN stats and info or PFF, so I don't have all these fancy, stats I can bring up for you guys. I refuse to subscribe to PFF. But like Zeitler's out there and Potrick's out there, and there are some guys out there who I recognize the name. Now, again, maybe it's just a name carrying them, but there are guys out there who I think can at least push him to start, if not start outright. So Myers should ideally, in a few weeks, months, be relegated to being a backup, and then he's a good backup. And then at that point, Harrison, Cooper, Max Mitchell, Okafor, whatever his name is, like, now you're talking about some good depth, but I don't want Myers as a starter. Like, that's the one position I really, really feel like they need. And a lot of people, you hear him talk about like a linebacker. Why is nobody talking about center? I don't understand it. I don't get it. Like, did we not watch Myers last year? Like, we have 2 starters at the minimum at linebacker, right? And at least we have some hope of depth with upside at linebacker. You have DeMario, who's been, again, knock on wood, healthy. You have Sherwood, bad last year, but knock on wood, healthy. And hopefully taking the green dot responsibility off of him helps him out in terms of being a better player this year. You have Mykal Walker, whatever, Jag, but you have Maui Noah. as a backup. So at least there's potential there, where center, it's like you're talking about one of the worst starters in the league and nobody's talking about it, or not maybe as much as they should be. And the one thing I do want to say is too about Maui Noah. It's so funny. Like, you listen to some people and it's like, oh, Maui Noah is a bust. Maui Noah is a bust. It's like people giving up on and again, I am not a Jets homer, and you guys know I probably, if anything, I would say people say I tend to lean negative. But giving up on a 5th round pick after 1 year because you expected what from him? Like, we expect 5th round picks to develop into the player they're going to be year 3, year 4, be special teamers. If a 5th round pick is a good special teamer, it's not a bust. So people calling Maui Noah a bust after 1 year is crazy. And there was some flashes he showed, last year. Now there was just as many bad plays as there was good plays, but he at least showed some promise, and people are always a bust. So again, at least there's potential there with him, where center, what are we hoping for? Guys, in his 6th or 7th year is suddenly going to become a good player. I don't see it. I don't see it, so did I ever think I was going to be bringing up Maui Noah highlights? No, but they're here because I made highlights of every single person I reviewed. So there's potential there. Okay, so past that, we got VJ Payne, 7th round. There's really nothing about VJ Payne at practice. The thing I could say is I like the way he speaks. He seems like a very well put together and thoughtful kid, which I like. Played some linebacker at high school, has a lot of versatility. I'm not going to get into it too much, but I'm not for the corner stuff. I don't think he has a fluidity to match guys' breaks as a corner. I think he's a guy who could play. He's pretty versatile in terms of, okay, he could play deep safety. He could play in man coverage against tight ends. I like him in that aspect. The thing that he struggles with the most, and the thing that will make him unrosterable at the NFL level if he doesn't improve on this, or just a special teamer, is his tackling is horrific. And mostly every facet, it is horrible. So I get the big hits are there, and again, I can show those hits and all of that stuff from VJ Payne, and I'll bring up some highlights of VJ Payne. But again, the tackling, whether it be throwing arm tackles, leaving his feet as a tackler, completely losing the running back, overrunning tackles in terms of like not breaking down and just running right past the guy. The tackling is Jordan Whitehead, Andre Cisco level bad at the collegiate level. And that'll only get worse in the NFL level. So he needs to improve. Now, he should be a special teamer this year because he's big. He's 6'3", 210 or whatever he is. He's fast. He's 4.4 speed, and it's not just underwear Olympic speed. It's undoubtedly there on film as well. And the thing with special teams is you like, a lot of it is want to. Now, obviously there's some technical aspects to special teams, but a lot of it is want to, right? Like Justin Hardy wasn't some freak of nature. He just had a lot of want to. And you can play like a little bit more like a bat out of hell in special teams, right? Because you're dividing the field up into 10 or 11 lanes, and you're only responsible for a few yards, to your left and to your right. So you can kind of come like a bat out of hell. Whereas a deep safety, or just on the field in general, on actual defense, you have to be much more controlled. So I don't think that's the lack of, or the bad tackling will show up as much for VJ Payne as a special teamer. But I think that's what you're looking at this year. You hope he contributes on special teams. He's not inactive every week. And then past that, if he's really going to start taking strides in the positive direction, hey, listen, on certain 3rd down situations, we have a team who really likes to go to their athletic tight end. Let's say I don't know, whoever we're playing was an athletic tight end. We're playing athletic tight end. Minka Fitzpatrick, let's say it's cover 1. We want Minka high, right? Because I don't want Dane Belton high. I don't want Malachi Moore high. I don't want Andre Cisco high. No, maybe there's a world where Cisco goes high and, Fitzpatrick goes into the box, but let's live in the world that Fitzpatrick's always going to be playing deep. Fitzpatrick deep. Would I rather, and this is maybe a little more intricate, but I think it's a conversation. And actually, no, like just based on college film and what I've watched so far, would I rather Andre Cisco versus an athletic tight end, Dane Belton versus an athletic tight end, Malachi Moore versus an athletic tight end, or VJ Payne versus an athletic tight end? I might take VJ Payne. So that might be his role. Hey, 5 snaps a game, certain key situations, you're playing man on this tight end. And that's the way he's going to be used in the special teams. As a full-time starter, you can't do it. You can't do it. His tackling is horrific. It really is really bad. I'm sorry. There's a reason he went where he did. Now, maybe he could have been a 5th, a 6th round pick, but 3rd, 4th, no way. Not with the tackling. I'm sorry. I'll be realistic. And I know this is the time. It's May. Everybody wants to be positive, glaze the Jets and stuff, but I'm going to be honest about the picks, right? Like I'm not going to lie to you guys. So yeah, rookie minicamp, really not much past that. There's probably some quotes and stuff I'm missing off the top of my head. Past that, we had the Breece Hall contract, which good signing, right? Like I think you could argue, okay, maybe he's overpaid by $2-3 million, something like that. Like if you want to, fine. I think Breece Hall last year is probably in like the 7 to 12 range of running backs. Like I think that's kind of where he falls. So he's not an elite player. But he's better than average. Like he's a plus average. He's a good running back at the NFL level. Now you obviously want to see him stack it up year by year because 2025 or 2024 season, he was not even close to even average. He was way below average. With that being said, okay, he improved. He kind of rounded back into form. I do think he's probably falls again within that 7 to 12 range of running backs. Now I'm just trying to pull up Here we are. Breece Hall highlights. And realistically, like when you're looking at whether it be a guard, a tight end, a receiver, a quarterback, like when you're near that, like that top 10-ish range, you're going to get like a top 3 contract at the position. That's just how it works. It's timing. Like you're not paid like, oh, he's the 3rd highest paid running back. That means he's definitely the 3rd high, like he's the 3rd best guy. Like that's not how it works. If you're, again, a top 10 guy, typically you're going to get top 3 money, no matter the position you are at. And Breece Hall, after the contract, was the 4th highest paid running back, right? Because I think it's McCaffrey, Henry. I think Julian Love actually might even make more money than him. And then there's another guy, and then he was 4th. Devon Achane just got paid $17 million a year. Breece Hall is at 15. So credit to Muji too quickly before I get into the other running backs, because he said, hey, post draft, I'm going to attack this contract. I'm going to get it done. He said that a few times. Post draft, attacked the contract, got it done. So credit to him. Breece Hall even said he was kind of surprised how quickly it got done. So again, kudos, because the timing too, right? If Devon Achane was next, if he was the first one to get paid out of this crop, because it's Breece, it's Achane, it's Bijan and Gibbs. Yeah, I think it's Gibbs. If Devon Achane got paid, he'd probably want $15-16 million, right? He gets $15-16 million. Now, Hall's agent saying, okay, well, we want over Achane's contract. And now that $15 million becomes $17 million. So Muji might have saved himself $2-3 million a year, or maybe not even signing Breece because you want to go that high for him, because he was proactive about it. So credit to him. But Breece Hall currently is number 5 paid running back, okay? Still got to sign Gibbs. Still have to sign Bijan. So he's going to be the 7th highest paid running back, and he's in the 8 to 12 range. Like you cannot complain about that. Now, if you want to argue he's not 8 to 12 and he's the 20th best running back, fine. That's your argument. I don't agree with you. But next year, who else is going to get paid? Another 2 guys get paid next year. Now he's the 9th highest paid running back. If he plays good for the next year after this year, then that next year he's probably going to be the 11th or 12th highest paid running back. So good contract for Muji, 3 years of control. It's not back-to-back franchise tags. The only people are saying that it's back-to-back franchise tags. Like I think the franchise and how that works. Correct me if I'm wrong in the chat. It's the average of the top 5 highest paid at that position, right? So next year, if you were to franchise tag him again with Gibbs, with Bijan, with all these guys getting their contracts, that $15 million tag goes up to let's say $18 million again, kind of just roundabout number, $18 million that money goes up to. And then because you're tagging him 2 years in a row, you don't get share that 18 million, you get 120% of that. So that 18 goes to, forgive my math, I was, $2 million. That 18 goes to 20. So 2 years back-to-back franchise tags would be 35, not 30. So they're actually saving some money there. And then you have that last year of control, which he's 24 years old. At 27 years old, he can still be a damn good running back and be a good value at $15 million. $15 million again in 3 years, he may be the 12th, 13th highest paid running back, which, hey, sign me up. So good deal. For the people who have been following here, like I'm not the biggest Hall guy in terms of like the attitude, not the attitude off the field. I think he'd be a little bit childish at times with some of like the cryptic tweets. Even a couple of days before his contract is signed, he's like retweeting Kanye West, like, oh, sometimes you have to change where you're at to get motivated and stuff. And like, Jets fans are wondering if you're going to sign the contract. It's like you have that and tweeting about other offenses and the four football emojis after only getting like 4 touches in one of his games. So like there's a little bit of immaturity from Hall, realistically. And there'll be people comment after, well, you can't judge a kid. Well, I am. Like, I'm just being honest about how I feel about him. So you could feel however you want to feel about Hall. Like, don't come in the comments and be like, oh, you can't say that about him. I can say whatever the hell I want to. I could speak because it's preference about who's my favorite player. Like, I can have preferences, right? Like, I could hate Garrett Wilson for absolutely no reason, but it's my preference. You can't tell me how to feel about a guy, So I don't love the immaturity or kind of how he is on social media at times. Hopefully, now that he's paid, he's going to be a little bit more of a positive energy instead of being mopey, because he definitely was mopey. But listen, man, like you're a top 5 paid running back, again, going to be top 10 or 7 soon. You're top 7 paid running back. You got to ball out. Like, you got to come to practice. You have to be a positive light in the locker room. You have to be a leader. You have to produce. There is no more bullshit. Like, you are a leader on this team, and I'm hoping that some of these young guys, or he can affect some of these young guys. I'm hoping this made Garrett Wilson happy, because obviously his draft class with Sauce, he was really close friends with Sauce and JJ and all those guys, and they're both gone. So seeing Breece leave and then potentially struggling for another year, like, what is Garrett Wilson's mindset? Now, how much does Hall really affect his mindset if the Jets are 4-13 this year? Probably not much, but I think he's in it for the long haul. So yeah, it's just kind of thoughts quickly about Breece. I think it's a good contract. Again, I credit to Muji for attacking it. And then past that, really before I get into the chat, it's the Tim Patrick signing, which we all kind of not talk about Tim Patrick specifically. I was mentioning definitely more so a Tyler Lockett, because he played with Geno Smith, and that's quite literally the only reason. It's like he played with Geno Smith, plus the fact that he's a vet and he could teach the guys just the ways of football, right? Because Garrett Wilson's still, relatively young, and everybody else, Arian Smith, A.D. Mitchell, young. So I thought bringing a vet would be a good idea, not only to teach them, but realistically looking at it, like, oh, what the hell did I do here? Okay, here we are. But realistically, like, the Jets needed a 4th guy, right? Now, I hope that Tim Patrick ends up being the 6th receiver, right? Like, I'm hoping Arian Smith can bounce back this year or have a good second year, and he's receiver 4, and Isaiah Williams can produce a little bit more on offense, and he's receiver 5, and Tim Patrick is your receiver 6. Now, realistically, right now, he is your receiver 4. 11 personnel is the heaviest used personnel grouping at the NFL, bar none. And if you had an injury to Garrett, to A.D. Mitchell, or to Cooper, or even if one of them are gassed, are we confident in Arian Smith or Isaiah Williams coming in and being able to produce? I'm not confident in that at all. So to get a guy who has some ties with Muji from Denver, right? He had a couple of like 700-yard seasons right there. He missed like 22 and 23 because of like some pretty bad leg injuries. Came back in 2024 or 2025 with the Jags. Was that what it was? Or no, he was Seahawks. Sorry, Seahawks. And then, or no, I lied. He was Lions in 24, Jaguars in 2025. My apologies. I'm like looking at the highlights. I'm like, he's clearly on the Lions there. What are you talking about, you asshole? So yeah, Lions 2024. So there's a tie-in with Muji with Denver. There's a tie-in with Glenn with the Lions. Like, this is the 2024 season that Aaron Glenn was there. And he's a type of guy, like, Aaron Glenn's saying, if you don't block, you don't get the rock. He is a willing blocker. Not always the best technical wise, but he's definitely a willing guy there. And he's, solid receiver 4. Now, I think it's there's some nuance in the conversation. And listen, I am not glazing Tim Patrick, right? Please do not take this as me glazing Tim Patrick. But the people who are looking at the stats and say, oh, well, he only had, 200 yards or whatever it was. Fine. But look at the Jaguar situation. He was probably, and again, this speaks to, okay, he's not the best player in the world, but just being realistic about what the Jaguars had, right? You have Brian Thomas Jr., right? He's going to get touches over him. You have Jacoby Myers, who they traded for. He's going to get touches over him. You have Parker Washington, who kind of balled out last year a little bit for them. He came out of nowhere. He's going to get reps over him. You have Travis Hunter, who saw some reps at receiver. He's going to get reps over him. Their tight end, I think, was actually decent. Was it Evan Ingram? Evan Ingram last year? He's going to get targets over him. And then Etienne is going to get targets over him. So when you're seventh in the pecking order, you're not going to get a lot of yardage. And I'm not glazing him, but I think, on a bad team, let's say if he's like receiver 3, he can get you 300-400 yards in a year. And obviously that's not great, but it's something. So he's a receiver 7 there, or option 7 there. And if you look at the amount of snaps he played, so he played, I think, like 3 to 400, let's call it 350 reps on the Jaguars last year. I think 163 of them were passing plays. Out of those 163, you probably have like 10 to 20, swing screens, stuff like that, which is an extension of the run game. So let's bring it down to 140. He put 140 reps, which is probably about, if you're a starter, 140 passing reps is probably about 5 games as a starter. So let's kind of, again, we're boiling it down too simply kind of, but he played like 5-ish games of starter reps and he had 200 yards. So extrapolate that over a season, he had like 600 yards. You know what I'm saying? Like there's more nuance to it. So I think he's a decent player. I think he's a decent 4. With that being said, I hope Arian Smith blows him out of the water, because he's 32 and Arian Smith is 23, 24, whatever he is. And Isaiah Williams has some potential. I think it's a good signing. They didn't put out the numbers, meaning it's probably like a vet minimum. I think like maybe Zach Rosenblatt or somebody on Twitter was saying that it's a little bit above the minimum. So you're getting a receiver 4 for $2.5, $3 million. Fine, sign me up. Again, I think the biggest needs on the Jets, the glaring needs right now, I think the Jets are going to see quarterback and say it's a glaring need, right? Because if Geno Smith goes down, they have faith in Kate Klubnik to potentially save their jobs. No. Me personally, I don't care. Like, it's fine. I'd rather see Kate Klubnik than Russell Wilson or Josh Dobbs or, whoever else. Forgive me for the coffee, but I work midnights and I just woke up. And if I don't drink coffee, I'm probably going to be having a headache. But nonetheless, so I don't care. I would be fine with Klubnik as a 2. The Jets I'm probably not going to see it that way. They're going to sign a quarterback, and that's going to be my 8th review of a quarterback this offseason, which I hate doing quarterback reviews. It's just way too intricate. But past quarterback, my needs are, you guys know what it is. Interior offensive line, interior offensive line, interior offensive line. If you're talking about 10 needs, 9 of them are interior offensive line. And the 10th one is, okay, give me a linebacker, a depth linebacker. Like you have Jermaine Pratt out there. You have Okereke. Now, maybe those guys are looking for a injury. Maybe they're looking to be a starter or a quasi-starter. I don't think the Jets can offer that. So I don't think they'll sign with the Jets. But there are even lesser guys who are out there. Like, I think like Devin Bush is out there. Like, just give me something at depth linebacker. Again, not shitting on Maui Noah or anything like that, but I'd rather have a different guy there and let Maui Noah cook a little bit more. So interior offensive line to me is kind of a non-negotiable. You need to bring at least another one in to push Myers. Linebacker is more of a secondary need, but I think it's something they should do as well. So we'll see. Right. We got 3.5 months until the start of the season. I'll kick it off with that quickly and I'll get into the chat Jets schedule. Let me just share my screen quickly here. Oh, it just played more highlights. Okay. So I'll share my screen quickly. I'll just bring up the Jets schedule on Twitter here really quickly. Which, by the way, how did you guys feel about the schedule release? I'll be honest. The painting, man, I didn't like it. Like, I know a lot of people, and I don't know if it's like people, I'm not going to get into it. I don't know why people liked it so much. Is it the ASMR thing? I don't know what it is. Like, oh, they're being creative and artsy. Like, we can't shit on them. I think it sucked. Like, I'll be honest, man. Like, you watch like the Titans and how they do theirs with like the interviews on the streets, like people guessing the teams who don't know football, or you see the Chargers with like the Halo stuff. Like, there are so many cooler releases than oh, our guys are mixing colors. It's like, okay. And then the Packers color was orange. It's like, okay, all right. It's not even a Packers color. Like, I don't know. I thought it was pretty stupid. I'll be honest. I seem like a little bit of an outlier based on Jets fans, but I watched the first 4 seconds of it, and I clicked off. I'm like, this is not even entertaining, but nonetheless, the schedule, kind of big picture view, no primetime games, which I know a lot of people enjoy. Me personally, again, I work midnights, so I get home at 8:30. I get to bed by 10, so I'm gonna have to sleep for 2.5 hours and then watch a bunch of 1:00 games. I got screwed in terms of the schedule, like with me being off. The only game I naturally have off for that I can actually go to is the Broncos game on 12/13. But with that being said, I do plan on being there for the Packers game. So I plan on being there for 4 or 5, I think. So Packers, Browns, Raiders, Broncos, and then maybe Vikings. I'll be there. So those are the games I'll be there. But yeah, large picture, no primetime games. I prefer them just because of my sleep schedule. Nonetheless, they don't have any. They're one of 5 teams to not have them. It's the first time in years the Jets have not had a primetime game. But realistically, like, prove it. Like the Jets played in primetime over the last few years, and they've sucked on every primetime game for the most part. One of 5 teams. It's all the shittiest teams in the NFL. Let's be honest. It's us. It's the Dolphins. It's the Cardinals. It's the Titans. Us, Cardinals, Titans, Browns. Right, that's the other team I was missing there, the Browns. So yeah, no, it's But with that being said, like, it's a New York market team. You're still not putting them on prime time. It really speaks to how bad the Jets have been in recent years and how disappointing they've been. Because I think if like the Titans, let's say if the Titans were the New York Titans, and you have Cam Ward and Robert Saleh, like a new coach, they probably get a primetime game, at least a Thursday night game. So the Jets not getting a primetime game and being a New York team really speaks to how down and out they are right now. So that's like an overarching thing. Another over just like a wide range type of thing is the bye week 13, a little bit late. Teams prefer it earlier in the season. I'm not saying like week 4, but like typically, you hear people want it like week 6 through 8, just because of the grind of the off season, right? Like you have OTAs, you have training camp, you have preseason, you then play the first 6 weeks. So that's like a nice kind of a midpoint break, like week 6, 7. Is really where teams want it. Week 13 is pretty damn late in the season to have it, so not the best bye week for the Jets either. And listen, like the schedule is not the easiest. I think they had like the 12th hardest in terms of like strength of schedule, or in terms of like other teams' winning percentage of last year, or whatever exactly it is. I think it's a winning percentage of last year. The Jets are like the 12th hardest, and the thing I don't love about it is obviously the start, right? The first 4 weeks, man, obviously minus week 1, is not easy. It seems like the Jets in recent years have really got a lot of their hard games up front, just like last year, hard game up front, like opening up against the Ravens, opening up against the Bills. The 1 year, like you played the NFC North to start or whatever it was. The Jets really have been kind of screwed in terms of that. Like, and I don't think it's on purpose or anything like that, but man, like, can the Jets just not start off with a couple of easy games and then maybe build into some momentum? Because the problem with the schedule like this, man, like realistically, if the Jets start off 0-4, 1-3, like, is the momentum killed already? You heard like Harrison Phillips talk about that, how guys were like down and out, and the Jets have been so bad, and these guys are so used to losing. And not, there's a lot of turnover, but like, what's the mentality going to be if you're 1-3? 0-4. Whereas if the schedule was, okay, fine, give us a few tough games. If it was Titans, Green Bay, Raiders, Bears, like just give us another game. But NFC North, 1-3, the best 3 teams in the North, 2 through 4, like, I don't love it. Again, I'd rather build some momentum. So I'd rather hard teams late, easy teams early, so you could build some momentum and feel positive, instead of like putting a lot of onus on week 1. And I don't think there's anything as a must win week 1, but man, you lose that game, fans are going to be rabid right off the jump, because you're losing to your previous coach. And trying to be as unbiased as I can, maybe I'm being biased, I think the Jets have more talent on their roster than the Titans do. Now, what I'll take with the Titans is, okay, I'm taking Cam Ward and I'm taking their OC over our OC, so they win there. But the rest of the roster for the Titans, like, okay, you got some decent receivers, with Tate and Ridley, fine, it's solid. The defensive line is pretty solid with with Simmons and with JFM. So good luck, Josh Myers there. But past that, there's really not a lot there. So this is a game they should win, especially for Glenn, who there's a lot of pressure on him. Again, former coach, all of this stuff. But if you lose that game and then you go into Packers, Lions, Bears, and you take the favorite there and they're 0-4, season's kind of over already, Now, not to say that you can't lose week 1 and then win week 2, like being positive. Hey, the Packers are 0-5 without Parsons. Are they maybe tied overrated? Maybe. They have a good coach, but like Jordan Love, Christian Watson, Matthew Golden, Josh Jacobs, the offensive line is okay at best. Like, I don't think they're a world beater of a team. With that being said, they also lost their DC. So like you could look at it positively. Titans win. Packers 0-5 without Parsons. Make that 0-6, depending on what they do in week 1, but win that game. The Lions missed the playoffs last year. Fine. Bears can't replicate their turnover differential like they had last year, where it's ridiculously high. Fine. 4-0. Like, I get that. You could look in that way. Me being a realistic Jets fan and seeing how this team was coached last year, seeing the OC who, people were a little bit sour on him to start, really seemed to warm up to him being like a plus guy right now. I think if he could be an average OC, you sign the dotted line for that. I don't think that happens realistically. And then Geno, he's a lot better than Fields. Fields is a bottom tier backup to a high end 3, or whatever you want to call him. And Geno's a large upgrade from that, but you're still lacking at the biggest 3 things on a football team, being head coach, and if he's a defensive head coach, the OC, and then the quarterback, So gun to my head, like if we were being realistic here, hey, did they beat the Lions? Nobody's going to bet their house on that, or the Packers or the Bears. And again, anything can fall how it falls, but you lose to the Titans, there's a lot of pressure to win at least one of the next 3 games at the minimum. Right now I would say, okay, they start off the season 1-3. 1-3, possibility for 2-2, right? You beat the Titans. You can always beat one of the Packers, Lions, or Bears, any given Sunday. If they're a better coach team, fine. I think out of the first 8 games, because then it eases up a little bit, right? Browns home. Who's their quarterback? First year coach, good defense, but a game that you're hoping the Jets could win. Pats, obviously, going to be a little bit tough, a little bit overrated, but still tough. Dolphins should be able to win that game. Raiders should be able to win that game. So in terms of games that the Jets are either should be very much so in it or even win, you're talking about 4 to the first 8. The Raiders, they're a comparable team. If you're leading positive, should win. Dolphins should win. Not even comparable, should win. Browns, should win or comparable. Titans, I'm saying they're better than them, should win. So I think, I'm not even saying should really, because that's a leap to make, right, with the Jets and what they did last year. Me coming out here and saying they should win any game is kind of stupid realistically. But out of those first 8 games, you hope for 4-4. Again, you win Raiders, Dolphins, Browns, Titans, fine. 3-5. 3-5 at the worst, right? If you're going into the second half of the season at 2-6, your season's pretty much already over. Mathematically, you're not eliminated at 2-6, but you're eliminated. Let's be real here. You got the Bills, you got the Chargers, you got the Broncos, you got the Pats, you got the Chiefs. You're not making the playoffs. So let's get through at least the first 8 games, 3-5. Hope for 4-4. Hope for 5-3, obviously. But realistically, I'm probably expecting 3 out of the first 5, maybe 4. Post that first couple of weeks, you got a rough stretch after that, and that's why it's really imperative. Hey, 4-4 should really be what you're striving for. 3-5 is the floor, right? Because then the next 3 going to play. And this is one of the negatives of the schedule is if you're seeing the Chiefs, you'd rather see them week 1 or 2 when Mahomes is either going to be not playing or hobbled. Midway through the season, he's going to most likely be playing unless he hits a setback or whatever it may be. But having to go to Arrowhead, then face Josh Allen, then go to Los Angeles across the country to play Herbert and a good coach and a good OC. Herbert and McDaniel, I think is going to be a good combo. So if you can steal one of those games, you're satisfied, right? Out of that 3-game stretch, if you can take one, you'd be happy. So, at that point, if it was 4-4, you'd be 5-6 or 4-7 at that point. Dolphins, hope you sweep them. They haven't swept the Dolphins I think it's been since 2015. They haven't swept them. They haven't beat them since No, they haven't beat them. No, sorry, that's the stat. They haven't swept them since 2015. No, that can't be right. I think the last time they won in Miami was okay. I'm an idiot. The stat I'm looking for is the last time the Jets won 3+ division games, so 3 or more division games, was 2015. That's the stat I'm looking for. The last time they won in Miami was 2013 or 14. It was that game that saved Rex's job. So I think it was 2013 is the last time they won in Miami. Could be 14. But hopefully you sweep them. Bye week late. Okay. Broncos, obviously, tough team. Cardinals, game you can win. They're a bottom 3 team in the NFL. Not good. Pats on the road. Right? Is that one on the road? No, that one's home. Still tough draw. Could potentially win. Vikings, okay. Bills, whatever. So I went on Twitter and I put the over/under at 6.5. I think that's realistic. And maybe that's a little bit of green glasses. I know the Vegas, who's pretty damn accurate for obvious reasons, has them at 5.5. I'll give them the Jets fan bump of 6.5. And I think that's where they are. I think they're a 6-7 win team. Gun to my head, I say that a lot. I'd probably say 6 wins for the Jets. Let's give them like Titans, Browns, Dolphins, Raiders. Fine. Give them all 4 of those games. Post that. Do I think they're sweeping the Dolphins? I don't know, man. I'm going to say no. And then give them Cardinals and Vikings. And realistically, like there's going to be, they're going to lose to one of the teams you expect them to lose. Or there's going to be a game that they lose you expect them to win, right? So like they'll lose to the Browns, but they'll end up pulling a game out of their ass against the Chiefs or the Chargers, so there'll be more so like that. But 6 or 7, that's kind of where I'm at. Again, if I had to land on it, I'd probably say 6 and 11. I don't want to be negative or anything like that, but has Glenn completely flipped on who he is? Reich hasn't coached in the NFL successfully in quite a few years. Musgrave hasn't developed a quarterback since like 2016. It's been about a decade, so I'm just trying to be realistic, and there's a reason that Vegas has them at 5.5. They're very accurate. And typically teams are carried by head coach, quarterback, OC type deal. And I'm not overly confident in that. Now, erring more on the side of positivity, just talk about the Jets roster. I think if you placed next year, let's say, the same team is here next year, and obviously there'll be some changes, right? Is Enagbari re-signed? Is Onyemata re-signed? There'll be some guys in and out. Myers, like there'll be some guys who are in and out, but let's say largely it's the same roster. And then you have a good rookie quarterback. Let's say he's a just solid in his rookie year, which is great. It's Arch Manning. He's the 12th best quarterback in the league. Mike Tomlin or Sean McDermott or Cliff Kingsbury or Davis Webb or whatever coach you like comes in and they're a good head coach. They bring in a good OC as well, or they're an offensive guy. If you have good head coach or just good coaching, good quarterback next year, this could be a wild card team. Like I think that's the difference. I think if I had confidence in Glenn, if this was Mike Tomlin and Justin Herbert, I'm predicting 10, 11 wins for the Jets. So that's really what carries the team, so I like the depth. I think if you're looking at good coaching, this should be a plus average defense. I think this should be a plus offense, right? Like where are they lacking? Center, and being realistic here, like some of these guys are going to take a little bit longer to bake, right? Like I don't think Sadiq, with how raw he is going to come in and get 800 yards in his year one, like some people are talking about. I'm like, he should be 3rd in targets. I think he's closer to 6th than he is 3rd in terms of targets because he's raw. Cooper can be a little bit raw as a route runner. So there'll be some bumps for these guys as well. But with that being said, like they got 2 good tight ends, or what should be 2 good tight ends. Based on last year, a pretty solid 3rd tight end in terms of a blocker. They have a good fullback in Beck. I should bring that up first, but you have Garrett Wilson, who's legit number 1. You have Cooper or AD. One of those guys should be 2, and the next one should be at least a decent or solid 3. You have a solid offensive line. I think if you brought in somebody to replace Myers, especially one either this year or next year, you're talking about a very plus offensive line. I think right now, again, they're 10 through 12 or something like that, 10 through 15. I think if you brought in a legitimate center, you re-sign Parham, you're talking about at the bare minimum top 10, but should be sniffing closer to top 5 next year. So I have I'm positive on the Jets roster. I like a lot of what they did, but Geno Smith, Aaron Glenn, like that's my main crux with it. So, all right, I'm gonna hit the chat now. Let's see. I didn't expect. I'm legitimately telling you. I got here on like what 4:10. I was like, I'm gonna have like 10 minutes of stuff to talk about, 15 minutes, and that was just about an hour. So here we are. That's what happens. Let's go, Joe. What is it? Possible 7 wins. I think if you're being positive, 8, 9. Like if you're really that positive, I wouldn't. Again, my over under is 6.5. I'd probably go under, but I could see 7. I could see 8, maybe. I think at 6 wins, Glenn's fired. I think 7 wins, he may be fired too. Obviously, it depends. How are the young guys developing, etc. You know, is it? Are you seeing coaching blunders? Are you seeing the Jets call a timeout on 4th and 1 that then only punt the ball? Are you seeing him not know field goal range? You know, like how does it look? Jesse, what's up, dude? What's up, Danger Zone? I like the Breece signing. Muji always does a good job with the contract. Yeah, again, and he did it fast, and he saved money because of it. Matt. If we win 3 games all year, I really hope one of them is Salah. Yeah, if you can only pick 3 games to win, yeah, I would say Salah has to be one of them, right? It'd be like Salah and then sweep the Pats, right? Or Salah, Pats, Bills, right? Are you happy with Myers at center? I'm not. Yeah, that's I went on a whole thing about that multiple times already. No, I'm not. I don't think it's good business to be walking in with him as your starting center. Not when there's guys out there. Let's see. Free agents, NFL. And again, this is completely... Okay, ESPN has the ranking of the top ones. Let's see if there's any interior offensive linemen. I'll just share the screen really quickly so I'm not just scrolling while you guys aren't seeing anything. Okay. Yeah, let's see. Joel Bitonio. He's number 4. Like I again, transparent. Like I recognize the name, but it could be the same thing as Russell Wilson, right? Where he completely fell off. But I'll trust ESPN slightly here. I'll throw my opinion into their hands. But 96% pass win block rate, 3rd amongst the guards, only allowed 2 sacks, 3rd if he returns to the 13th season. So he might have to maybe commit. But Joel Bitonio's out there, you know, and Parham was brought in to the Raiders to be a center. And I think he might have played a little bit of center, but he's a guy who could play center. I'm not moving Tippmann there. But Joel Bitonio, left guard, Parham, center, sign me up. Kevin Zeitler, just mentioned him, 36. Yeah, but it's a stopgap. You know, 92% win rate, lowest since 2020. Fine, but I'll take that over Josh Myers. You know, Becton, absolutely not. Sorry, can't do that. You know, okay. So that's that list. Let's see. Top 101. Let's see if NFL has any of these guys either. Oh, best available. Okay, so these are the top 101, and then these are the best available of those 101. Zeitler's up there. Okay, yeah, so not much there. I'm just gonna do this one really quickly, and then we'll move on. I think they do available. Yeah, available. These are all available guys right now. Yeah, Bitonio. I'm not doing Becton again. I'm sorry. Zeitler, James Daniels. I'm not sure what happened with him, but he was pretty solid with the Bears in years past. So he's out there. Graham Glasgow, again, just name recognition. He's out there. Ethan Pochik, I think he's injured or like chronically injured now, but he's out there again. Don't know. Alex Kapp is at least a name I recognize. You know, like, so there are some guys out there, you know, Penning, I think he's a tackle initially, then flexing the guard, but there are some names out there who I would like to see over a Myers. Again, transparently, I can go back and watch these guys and be like, I was an idiot. These guys suck. You know, I don't know. Oh, Marvin Guns, my bad, dude. I would have pulled those up earlier. I didn't see this. Super chat, $5 or $10. I appreciate it. Your show is such a great break from the insanity in the world. We are built for this shit. What insanity? What are you talking about? Streamers getting arrested, aliens, wars. What do you mean? What are you talking about? Oh man, that was gonna be a risky one. I'm not gonna say it. I'll give you a hint though. I would say people being miscasted in movies. I was gonna be a little bit too aggressive with that, but yeah, people being miscasted in movies. You know, like for me personally, I don't think I should play. I don't think I should play in a role reenacting Myles Garrett with the Browns. That's all I'll say. You know, I think I should probably look more so like Myles Garrett than me. But hey, that's the world we live in now. What's up, Curly? Will Sadiq have an impact this season? Yeah, he'll have an impact. Now, I do think, listen, like I think people are a little bit overhyping what he's going to do in year one. Just a few things. Again, just being realistic here. He had like high 500 yards at Oregon. Okay, so we're saying, okay, he's going to come to the Jets and have 700 yards. He didn't do it at Oregon. Why doesn't he do it with the Jets? He's pretty raw. He's pretty raw as a blocker, specifically in line. He cannot block in line right now, unless he's like the backside of an outside zone and it's going away from him. Fine, he can cut a guy off with just his athleticism. But, oh, sorry, I just lagged there bad. Yeah, but in terms of like him blocking front side and in line, you can't do it. One, the technique needs to be better, and 240 is light for that. So, and that's one of my concerns with him is like he's already pretty rocked up. So can he gain a legitimate 10 pounds of like strength? We'll see. But he can't block in line right now. And he's raw. He's a raw route runner, and tight end is one of the hardest positions to learn coming to the NFL. Now, obviously, yeah, like quarterback, no shit. But tight end, you're learning how to be an offensive lineman. You're learning how to be a receiver. Legitimately. Like there are plays you're an offensive lineman. You're just an extra offensive lineman basically out there. You're just a tight end. You have to learn how to be a receiver. And then all the things that, okay, he's going to be lined up in the backfield. He's going to be on jet sweeps. He's going to be on end arounds. He's going to be using the screen game. There's so much being thrown on his plate as a rookie at a position that's already hard to learn for a guy who's raw. So what I've been saying is, and I'm a little bit lower on Sadiq. Sadiq at pick 16 didn't love it. They really rebounded with Cooper. So if you were to flip it and say Cooper at 16, Sadiq at 30, sign me up. So the combo of those two players, I do. But he's raw. He's raw. Like I think obviously Garrett Wilson's going to out-target him. I think Cooper probably out-targets him. I think Mason Taylor out-targets him because he's going to be like the base Y tight end, and just on check down strictly, they'll target him. Whilst I get that maybe Sadiq will have more schemed up targets, but just by check downs and stuff and playing more, I think Taylor will have more targets. I think Breece will have more targets. So I think he's like the 5th or 6th in terms of pecking order. In terms of targets. And again, it's a hard position to learn, and he's raw in general, right? Like even if you love Sadiq, we cannot not argue that he's raw. If you're saying he's not raw, I don't know, man. I don't know. I like him generally. 16, I think it was a reach. Like if it was just Sadiq, and then they didn't trade up, and it was like Basantis, the guard at 33, and that was the only way they addressed their receiving room or their pass catching room, I would not be happy. But the fact they traded up for a 5th for Cooper really saved it for me. And that 5th round pick, like you jumped the Bills one, even though the Bills traded back a few times. So if they really wanted Cooper, they could have technically had him, being realistic. But that 5th round pick is worth just the 5th year option, in my opinion. Like I don't even care about jumping the Bills. That fifth round pick is just worth that 5th round option, or that 5th year option. So he'll have an impact. I think he'll be used like some in the screen game, some in the seam, just to stretch the seam. It's not overly complicated. Hey, run straight, get past this linebacker on screens, on end arounds, but he needs to develop quite a bit. So I would say like, yes, of course, a big impact. I would say no. Like, don't be so low on him. If you're looking at, 350, 400 yards, a couple of rushing yards, don't be so low, because again, it's a hard position to learn and he's raw. I think you're really looking for Sadiq's like impact year 2, 3, 4. I'm not expecting a lot in year 1. That's me personally. I'm hoping he dominates. I'm hoping he gets 1,000 yards and wins Rookie of the Year, but I just don't think he's walking in ready, and he has to learn a lot of shit with all he's going to be asked to do. And with that being said, you're not going to play him in line right now. Again, unless, outside zone away from him, fine. Front side, absolutely not. And if they do front side, that's a problem. And then you really look into it, then teams are going to start to study trends and to say, okay, every time he's in the game in line, they run away from him. So that could be a problem. But Bailey, ANIP, we'll find out. Listen, I like the explosion. I think there's potential for speed to power there. Again, my biggest problem with him is the run game, right? I think at best he could be an okay run defender. I don't think he's there now. How do you play him and Will McDonald? Is Bailey on the field on 2nd and 2? I'm not putting him on the field in 2nd and 2. There's no way I'm putting him in the game on 2nd and 2 over Agnagbari or Osai on a rundown. I can't do it. So at that point, you have Will McDonald making $15 million a year, 1st round pick on the bench, and you have David Bailey, 1st round pick on the bench. And then past that, again, like I think he could be a 10, 11, 12 sack guy. I do think the ceiling's a little bit capped because he hasn't the best lateral athleticism, right? And typically, you get guys to overset. You're a speed rusher. You can cross their face with your lateral athleticism. He doesn't have that. So I think he'll be a speed rusher and then turn a little bit of the speed into power, because he does have some good like pop in his hands and upper body strength, but I don't think he's the most dynamic athlete in terms of just like looseness and bend and things like that. Then you pair it with the run game. And then thirdly, when I look at Bailey, my concern is when tackles were able to match his foot speed, he struggled more as a pass rusher, because he beat a lot of tackles. Again, Arc Pine Bluff, like a school I've literally never heard of, Arc Pine Bluff. He was beating tackles who couldn't match the foot speed, so he would just explode. And then they would be so far behind in the rep that they'd be reaching for contact, and he knew those hands were going to be coming quick and reaching for contact, and he defeated them. But when tackles were able to match the foot speed and be more patient with the hands, and then he did his move and they were able to be patient and then shoot, he struggled. So he was beating a lot of tackles with bad feet. Sue me. It's just true. I went back and people will defend him against Utah. I wasn't impressed versus Utah. I get he had some help, but there were too many reps where I just didn't love the plan. But I think like primarily, speed rusher, work that outside hand, clubs, rips, chops, things like that to the outside arm. And then he can turn that speed into power. The thing that I do think is largely overrated with him, especially after going back, his spin move is very segmented. He's very high into it. He doesn't set it up well. So people call him like, oh, him and Will McDonald, the spin meisters. No, his spin move is not going to translate as of right now. One, the setup is not great and he's pretty tight into it. So don't sue me. Jesse asked me the question. I'm not the biggest fan in the world of Bailey. I'm not going to change my tune because now he's a Jet. Again, I would have rather have had 5 or 6 guys over him at 2. I'll be honest. That's just me. Bain, Reese, Tate, Styles, Downs. So I have hope for him. I do. I hope he's the best player ever. He's wearing 31. I love the no drip, but I can't change my opinion. I can't, because there are film reviews out there already, and I've been talking about this for 6 months now. So yeah, I wasn't a big fan of it, but he's a Jet now. I hope he works out. 3 best values of the Jets draft picks since 2020. Can I include UDFAs into this, Blake? Because my mind immediately goes to since 2020. Let's see. Jets draft. Michael Carter is obviously bang right off the top, number 1. But then I was thinking of some UDFA. Well, even JFM was a pickup. Quincy was a pickup. Let's see. Best values. I think Pons might be up there, even the second round. I really like Pons. But Michael Carter II easily is number 1. Easily is number 1. Man, you're going to these drafts and it's just woof. Since 2020? There's really only one that I look at. I'm like, yeah, that's a value. Breece Hall being a starter for a few weeks, that's probably a value. But I'm gonna say Michael Carter II, number 1, far and away is your number 1 there. My God, that is a hilarious question because in terms of value, there's none. Michael Carter II, Breece Hall, because he was a starter for a few weeks, right? In terms of value, as a 5th round pick. Fine. Stiggers, 5th round. He's a capable depth corner. Isaiah Davis at 5. Yeah, that's tough, man. That is gross. Not good. Pat Joe from Arnez Cooper. It's a Nez. There's no R. Delete that R. Can you see a scenario that he goes to guard and you can move Tibman to center and sit Josh Martin? No, I don't think so. He's too raw. I don't think so. And not only on top of being raw, he lacks a lot of movement skills. So I don't see that. I think Bailey has all the tools and first step to become real. Yeah, there's a possibility, right? If he's getting you 12 sacks a year, 12, 13 sacks a year, and he hits his run game upside or his run game ceiling, which I think is average. I don't think he'll ever be great in the run game just because I think he lacks strength in that base. If you're talking about a 12 sack guy who's an okay run defender, yeah. He's a good player. Now worth 2. Yeah, okay, that's a discussion, but there's a possibility if he hits his ceiling, but there's also a floor, right? What if the floor is, again, leaning more negative? Okay, Texas Tech his last year at 23 years old, he came out in certain run situations. So if he's coming out in run situations at Texas Tech, what are you expecting at the NFL level? Stanford, he played like 50% of the snaps his last year, and he transferred because he couldn't play the run game. And then if the pass ledge doesn't translate, hey, that foot speed's great, but guys can now match mostly your foot speed, and he's getting 7 sacks a year, and he's only playing on rush downs. That's the floor, and people, he's going to automatically walk into the NFL and get 10 sacks. That's bullshit. You can't say that about any player ever. Ever. You can't say he's automatically guaranteed to get you 10 plus sacks a year. Literally nobody. There's nobody ever been able to say that again about. There's guys you have good feelings about that, but you can't guarantee that. So the floor, the ceiling is 12, 13 sacks, good, decent run defender. The floor is can't play in the run, just like he didn't really play the run great in college. And the speed isn't, he can't just win with just the speed. The lack of bend, the lack of lateral athleticism hurts him. And then guys matching the foot speed hurts him. And he's getting you 6 to 8 sacks a year DPR. And that's a guy who's, you're signing for a few $1 million to play 25% of the reps. Now there are people talking about Bailey and in year one, like he's going to play, 65% of the reps. That's a high percent for, there's some teams who play their guys like 80%, but 65 is a good amount of reps. Like that's the amount of like reps like Q was playing for the Jets when he was here. I think you're more looking at like 50% of the reps for Bailey. I do. I think you could play Bailey in like run pass situations. So let's say it's like 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5. Okay. Take the risk that they may run the ball, but it's run pass. Pass downs, obviously you play them. Run situations, not with all the guys they brought in. I think it would be malpractice to bring him to put him in the game over. And again, they're not playing the same positions, but Osai and Agnegbari are, even though they can flex down as like a 5 tech or a 4-eye, in rush situations at times. But you have those guys. You have Onyemata, you have Sweat, you have Briggs, you have Phillips, you have Jackson, who can all play the run. So in run situations, you can't be on the field. So I think it's closer to 50% than it is 65, 70% of the reps, like some people are saying, because I just don't see it with the run game right off the jump. Brian Glick, what's up, dude? What is up? We are not getting Manning. Yeah, listen, there are like 10 names right now who are being thrown into the first round conversation. We'll see. Yeah, I'm going to be watching, and realistically not as closely, but I'm going to be watching I'm rooting for every game I watch. I want the quarterbacks to dominate. So I'm going to watch a lot more college football this year, hoping for all these top 10 to 15 prospects to absolutely dominate. And then I'm going to hate watch the shit out of the Colts, the Packers, and the Colts, the Packers, and the Cowboys, which twofold, by the way. Jets beat the Packers week 2. It helps their draft pick. So that'd be nice. Based on Sorsby's prior competition in college, is it possible that Klubnik would have been drafted higher in this past? You know what I'm going to say. Possible, yes, no doubt. I would say that he probably goes 3rd round just because of the pure athletic upside, right? Like 6'3", 225, cannon of an arm, can run. Where Klubnik, better competition, more starts, but not the athletic upside that he has. So I would say Sorsby would have went before Klubnik, but people are saying like, oh, Sorsby could be a 1st round pick this upcoming year. Throw a 2nd round pick for him. The opposite side is Sorsby, projected as a 1st round pick next year, but sucked when he went to a bigger college, and now he's a 6th round pick next year, and you just threw a 2nd round pick for him. So like, I don't know. It seems a little silly. Like you have plenty of guys who were 3rd-ish round picks last year who are projected to then take a step up in the right direction and be a 1st round pick. Sellers, Nussmeier, Klubnik were all like mid-round tape type guys. And then the talk about them being high 1st rounders was the projection of them being better. It wasn't where they are right now. So Sorsby is in the same boat as the Nussmeiers, the Klubniks, who they're projecting to be better the next year. But people saying, oh, he's a 1st round pick. No, it was based on what? Based on stuff that has not happened yet. Shouldn't touch Sorsby. He's a big time gambler and will likely be. Yeah. And then the problem with that too is if he's found doing it again, which clearly is a big problem, it might be an indefinite suspension at that point. So it's a huge risk. A 2nd round pick is such what? If you want to argue a 3rd round pick, fine, I'll hear you. I still disagree. Even a 4th round pick, I would be a little bit lukewarm on it, being honest, like with how deep this draft is. Like there were some 4th round guys I really wanted. Again, I didn't watch them transparently, but like Sam Hecht or whoever it was, like especially in a draft next year that's supposed to be generational, you can get a starter in the 4th round. Potentially, obviously, right? Like a high on the high upside of it, but like I'm not about a 4th round pick. So people talking about a 2nd, come on, man, that's ridiculous. That's silly. That's silly talk. I don't logically, if you really start to break it down, I think that's idiotic. I don't even think it's a conversation 2nd round pick. I'm sorry for whoever I'm offending there, but what are we doing here? A 3rd round pick or a low 2nd to a 3rd round pick. If he came out, now we're throwing a 2nd round pick for that guy, but we're not even attributing. Again, the rawness, the gambling, like what? 2nd round pick. He would have been a 2nd round pick if he came out this year, most likely. Come on. Cardinals and Dolphins will be picking at the top of the draft. Titans. Cooper lacks speed and athleticism, so he's more of a power, short yardage goal line blocker. He can't block well in space. Yeah, and you could, maybe he takes over Max Mitchell's like that. I don't even know, man. I was gonna say takes over Max Mitchell, like those goal line sets, so they bring in a 6 offensive lineman to block, but he's not a good run blocker at all right now. So he has a size to do it, and he has the length and the power, but my God, does he play high? So I think most weeks he's probably inactive, right? Because like you're gonna play Max Mitchell over him, you're gonna play Newman over him, you're gonna play Okafor over him. So are you gonna have 4 guys on the bench offensively? He's probably gonna be inactive. He's gonna make the 9th offensive lineman, realistically. If I want to be positive Joe, clicks, whatever, 6 offensive linemen, maybe he could start, but I don't see it. What's up, Joe? What games do you think you'll be attending? Yeah, I said it a little bit before, so I will 100% be at the opener. I will never miss an opener. So Packers, Raiders, I'll definitely be. My buddy likes the Raiders, and he's going. Browns, I'll be at. Broncos are the guaranteed 4 games I'll be there. And then maybe I do Dolphins or Vikings. I'll figure that out. But definitely those 4, maybe 5. Road, I'll see. It's hard, realistically. Like I would love to be that guy who, not really. In the moment, I would love to be the guy who doesn't care. But leaving my wife with 2 kids, 2 kids, a 2-year-old and a newborn for 3-4 days, and she's working a full-time job. I'm sorry. It's not like, ball and chain or whipped or anything like that. But that sucks, man. 3-4 days with 2 kids and a full-time job. I don't know if I could do that. So I'm gonna have to wait a few years to be traveling again like that. Jets could have used that 4th round pick. Yeah, that's what I preferred. Slow runner. There's a few guys who fell to like 128. I would have preferred the Jets in terms of managing. And again, not Monday morning quarterbacking. There were quite a few centers on the board there still you would like. If they were infatuated with Klubnik, fine. Take him at 103 and then hope that one of those guys falls. Or even trade up for him. I would be okay with trading up for one of them. A 4th and a 6th or whatever, a 7th to trade up a little bit for a center. Yeah, that's my biggest gripe. I'd have rather a center than Jackson. That's just me. Marshall Manning. Yeah, I've seen videos of him already. Jesse. I'll give it on defensive mulligan because the scheme was so bad. It's an intricate conversation, really. It is. How do you really know how much blame to put on certain individuals? It's hard. It's hard because there was very simple things they blew too. So I don't know. VJ Payne is the second coming of. No, in terms of the tackling stuff, Jesse, it's not that because he's much more willing and he will blow a guy up. It's more the technical aspect. Like Ahmad Gardner, Sauce was not a willing tackler, and he was really slender. Payne has a little bit more beef behind him. Like he's not huge, right? Like 6'3", 6'4", 210. Like in terms of like pound per inch, he's not huge. Much more willing and will blow a guy up. It's the technical stuff. So don't think he's like Sauce because if he gets the technical stuff right, he'll light you up. It's just he overruns the shit out of and leaves his feet, arm tackles, loses running backs really, really badly. So it's not Carter. It's different. How can Payne be a good special teams player if he's a bad tackler? Want to, and again, it's less controlled on special teams. You can play more like a bat out of hell in special teams. So I think he could be a fine special teamer. Payne could be big nickel. I said that. Isaiah Davis a little better, but it's cool. I'm not sure what you're saying. Then who? And Breece? I'm not saying that. I think if you're saying Isaiah Davis is better than Braylon Allen, I think that's a slam dunk. I've said that since they were drafted. So people who've been like Matt and whoever else, Couchada, who've been listening to this channel for years, I've been on that since they were drafted, that Isaiah Davis is a better player. I think Braylon Allen has a higher ceiling, but rep for rep, it's undoubtable that Isaiah Davis is better. He's a more consistent runner. He's a better pass blocker. There's a reason he's in on third down. He's averaging like 5 yards a carry or whatever it is throughout his career. Isaiah Davis stats. What is he averaging? Yeah, he's 5.5 and 5.8. And I get like some of those are in garbage time. It's like a draw for 20 yards or whatever, but still, let's call it 5.6 yards per carry. Knock off a yard because of the bullshit, garbage time stuff. Okay, he's averaging mid 4.5s. Like, fine. He's right now, like everybody talks about Allen. It's undoubtable that Davis has been better. Undoubtable. I get it. Allen's jacked and he has a higher potential and he's 21 years old. Fine. Higher ceiling. Yeah. Right now, who am I taking to get me, not get me an individual, whatever. If I'm taking one running back to get 20 carries in a game, it's Davis and not thinking twice about it. Fantasy-wise, Breece Hall or James Cook? Cook. Hall, listen, there's quite a few mouths to feed. Bills don't have as many weapons. Bills are more confident in the offense, continuously moving down the field and being in red zone situations more, so you have to take Cook. You have to. 5 wins. Yeah, I think, I would say if I had to make like a 3-win range, I would lean more to 5 to 7 than 6 to 8. I think 5 to 7 is more realistic than 6 to 8. So, yeah. I don't think the schedule makers are going to put a lot of effort into the two teams the Jets can consider easy at the beginning of their season. Art from RJ. I don't think the schedule makers are going to put a lot of effort into to put the two. Oh, you're talking about like giving them games. Yeah, it just feels like the Jets, like over the years, I'm not going to go back and do this, but like the first month or two of the schedule has been brutal every time. Lose the team. This team doesn't lose. You lose. Okay. Like grenade, YouTube notifications. You have failed me once again. Yeah, they could be a little bit. Joe, you can't go into a season with that mentality. You can't think you're going to win 6 games. You're going to win 17. Okay, but I'm not playing on the field. I'm being a realistic fan. Like if I'm a Jets fan who's experienced the last decade and a half, how am I going to say, yeah, they're going to win 17 games? I'll look like a complete jackass. Like I have to analyze it fairly, like how I see fit. Like, yeah, if I'm on the team, I would want the mindset of, yeah, I'm going to go in and win 17 games in the Super Bowl. But after what I saw last season, how can I say that? Like then I'm just fanboying. I'm not that. Like there are plenty of people out there on Jets social media who will fanboy the shit out of this team. That's not me. I think they're going to win 6 games. If I had to bet my bank account on what they're going to win, it's 6 games. That's what I'm going to say. I would love to come on here and say, no, they're going to win 17 games, but Billy, you can't say that. Come on. You can't say that. I wish they did, but I would look like an idiot, right? Like I try to be the guy who like analyzes the team and shit. If I came on here and said, yeah, I think they're going to make the playoffs, people would discredit me. I would be discrediting myself. I would look like an idiot. I think they probably win 6 games. I hope they win 9, 10, 17, the Super Bowl, but me sitting on my desktop or my computer in my basement of my house, not my mom's house. I can be fair, right? Like, how do you watch what they did last year and say that, oh, they were tanking? They weren't tanking the first 7 weeks. They sucked with talent. They had all pros at all 3 levels of their defense. Justin Fields, like he sucked. That was obviously that was their guy. Now, with that being said, I do think the Jets get a little bit too much shit on for that. Like, oh, they brought in Justin Fields. At the time of it, we were all kind of like, okay, we understand it, right? Like we understood the move because what we said was there weren't many options who could be the long-term guy, right? Darnold wasn't coming back. Whoever else wasn't coming here. He was the only guy in free agency last year, even though, like I said, it was a 5% chance he worked out. At least there was a percentage chance where guys like Kirk Cousins and stuff could never be the long-term guy. So I get the swing on Fields. So I do think people are a little bit too hard on the process of that. Like, oh, they brought in Fields. That was their guy. While at the time of the signing, we all said, okay, we understood because he has the upside at least to maybe be a starter. So I think people have a little bit of revisionist history with that, to be honest. I do. I can't shit on them for bringing in Fields. They did. He sucked. That's it's obviously unfortunate, but like people are, oh, they brought him in. When a year ago you rewind it and they're like, yeah, good move. Like I understand why they did that. So people tend to change their opinions a lot because people aren't going to hold them accountable, but it's okay. Derek, the Kansas Jets fan. What's up, dude? What is up? How are you doing over there in Kansas? Does Glenn's job security depend more on the record or more on who is available? If KOC or Tomlin, for example, is available, but we got 8 wins, what do you think they do? Oh my God, man. I don't know. Yeah, that's a loaded question. Like, how do they win those games? Who do they beat? You know, is it Glenn? Is it Glenn winning those games, or is it Frank Reich? That's really loaded. At 8 wins, I don't think he's gone. Like, realistically, like Woody Johnson likes him and all that stuff, and I think that would sell him. Like that's the most games we've won in over a decade. I don't think at 8 wins he gets fired if those guys are available. I think 6, 7-ish. That's when you're talking about it. 8 wins, I would say probably not. But that would hurt, right? That would hurt. You miss the playoffs. You don't have a good draft pick. Gino's not your long-term guy. There's 2 really good coaches out there, but they're not going to come here because Woody Johnson sticks with Glenn. Yeah, I don't know. I always seem to catch you on laundry day. Shake my head. Isn't that a good thing? Throw on an AirPod, do some laundry. John, you gotta rewind. You gotta rewind to the beginning. I did the draft class from pretty much the jump. But yeah, I have a lot of thoughts. I watched all of their 2025 seasons, all of them. There were reviews out on every single one of them. But yeah, if you have a specific question about a guy, fine. But I can't recap it again because I did that. Joe, the Odyssey, is that what I'm talking about? I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm just not buying it that person could beat up a warrior. I'm not buying. I'm personally not buying it. I won't speak to you guys, but I'm not buying it. There was like the AI of I don't know what the actress's name is. I'm gonna get in trouble. She goes to you ever see the scene from 300 where like the black dude's like standing in front of the hole with that big pit or whatever, and is it Gerard Leno or whatever his name is, like, this is Sparta, kicks him. It's like it's AI, so she goes to kick him, he doesn't move, laughs and stabs her. Yeah, man, I don't care. It's, come on. I don't know if those rumors are real, that's really that person doing it, but come on, man. I don't know. There's gonna be a person or 2 or 3 unsubscribe and cancel me for that, but I'm not buying it, man. Again, I shouldn't be in a movie reenacting Myles Garrett. It's just stupid. It's stupid. I don't care. If you think it's dumb, then you want to click off, and I'm not come on, man. 100 pounds soaking wet, being Achilles. I don't think so. I don't care, girl, guy, whatever. But like, if it's like Timothy Chalamet doing it, I would say a similar thing. Now, obviously, maybe favor him a little bit more for obvious reasons, but still, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. Look at Brad Pitt was fine for that, right? Is Brad Pitt? Yeah, Brad Pitt, right? Was the original Troy? Do I see The Boys on Prime? Are you talking about me? You're talking like The Boys, like the superhero show? I watch it. The last season or 2 have undoubtedly fallen off for some scenes. I'm like, this is just not great at all. But the first 3 seasons were excellent of that show. But I watch it. There's 2 episodes left, right? And they canceled Gen V. I like those shows. I think that they're interesting, but the last season has sucked. It's really not that good. I gotta stick it out now. Can Sadiq be Travis Kelce level blocking? I think he'd probably be better on like the second level and stuff. But you're talking about one of the best receiving tight ends ever. Chubb for club, you're the man. And this is the tank for Ty. I'm more with you on the tank for Ty than I am for Chubb for club. I'll be honest here. I don't know. I have 0 excitement for the season. I'm the only one from Javon. Just waiting until we get Arch in town or whoever else it may be. I'm not going to say 0. Like, there's a lot of young guys who are exciting to evaluate. Now, I get it overall. Don't have faith in the coach. Don't have faith in the quarterback. Understandable. But especially for me who watches all the film, there's so many young guys. I want to see how they progress and stuff that I'm not going to say 0, no doubt. I'd have preferred offensive lineman at 16 or trade down. Yeah, like, I'll be honest here. In my perfect draft, like if I could go back and redo it with like knowing what happened, I would say Cooper at 16, trade up to 30 for Basantis. I would take Cooper and Basantis over Cooper and Sadiq. Me personally, I like the combination of Cooper and Sadiq. I do, but I would sign up for Cooper and Basantis personally. Too many freaking YouTube ads, which by the way, I don't control any of that. Neither does JetX. So that's just YouTube. So I have seen that before. Like, oh, too many YouTube. I don't choose YouTube ads. That's YouTube. I'm late, so you probably touched on it, but I did. I hit on it for quite a bit. Yeah. As a receiver 4 or 5, I think he's perfectly fine. Veteran in the room. It's no doubt. And again, he was option 7 with the Jaguars last year, who saw like 163 passing reps. So yeah, he didn't produce, but who would produce as receiver 7? And yeah, that does, or not receiver 7, target 7. Now that does speak to, okay, yeah, he's not the best player, but in what world would 31-year-old Tim Patrick play over Parker Washington, Travis Hunter, Brian Thomas, Jacoby Myers they traded for, Travis Etienne? It just wouldn't happen, realistically. So I think on a team with less talent, he's probably looking at 300, 400 yards, and people are like, oh, okay. But people are just going to look, Google stats, 180 yards. Oh, he sucks. But I don't think he sucks. I think he's fine. Why do people keep saying Reese is going to play inside linebacker? Because that's what Harbaugh said. But then Harbaugh also came back. I don't know if it's in the same interview, said that he's going to be blitzing through the A gap. He's going to be playing edge sometimes. So people who hated Reese or just are trying to glaze Bailey now are going to say, oh, well, he's inside linebacker. We'll see. We'll see how much he's playing inside linebacker. We'll see how much he's rushing the quarterback. As long as he's playing with everything in front of him, fine. I don't care where he's aligned, inside linebacker, outside linebacker, DN, D tackle, nose tackle. As long as he's playing with everything in front of him and not dropping back, that's how you use him. Simply. I think they're going to trade Regan. I think they're going to trade Thibodeau. Apparently they're looking to. Reborn. My nickname for McDonald's is McFlurry. I was Reese over Bailey all the way. I agree with you, Joe. Yeah, again, I'm not like, if I were to come on here realistically and say, yeah, no, I really actually like after I really thought about actually do like Bailey over Reese, I would lose all credibility. I can't say that, but there's people on YouTube like, oh, stop talking about it. It's like I'm quite literally asked about it in the chat, and it's going to come up. It's going to come up for years. Sherwood. Oh yeah, Sherwood was good. Yeah, I'm sorry, I skipped on that one just because of like what's been happening recently. But yeah, Michael Carter II, Sherwood, and then I guess you can say Hall, Davis, Stiggers are probably like the next 3 who I would consider. To be frank, I think JJ and Elijah Moore were good values when they were drafted, even though they didn't work out. I was okay with JJ at 27, but I'll be honest, I like Karlaftis quite a bit more in that draft. Again, it's all on tape, and Karlaftis had been the better player, so I wish they would have drafted Karlaftis, but JJ was fine at 27. Elijah Moore, 2nd round, I don't know. Braden Mann is a solid punter in the 6th. Yeah, he was not solid with us, but with the Eagles, he's been solid. Yeah, no, that's perfectly fine. I think that's valid, Curly. I do. Like if you can get any starter, I don't care if punter, kicker, whatever, in the 6th round, it's fine. Like I think people over what's the word I'm looking for? They think that other teams just draft all these 4th, 5th, 6th round picks who play all the time. When realistically, if you can get a good special teamer, 5th, 6th, 7th round, it's great value. Role player in the 4th round, great value, or good value at least. Tippmann, because he could play 3 spots, that has to be one of the best value picks. Not a hot take at all. It really shouldn't be a hot take, but Tippmann, relative to his position, is the 2nd best offensive lineman on the Jets right now. Membu, stud his rookie year. Tippmann, I think, was plus average. Fashion, go back and watch the review. I think he was average at best in his 2nd season, which is okay. Fine. He's young, but he needs work. I think he was average at very best last year. So I think people are like, oh, he's a stud. He's not a stud yet. Don't mean to be negative. The film is out there. There were way too many plays he got beat. One, he throws the same punch way too frequently, and he overset a lot last year. A lot. He was oversetting. So, and in the run game, he's not great. So you have a guy who's oversetting, throwing the same punch, not great in the run game. Gun in my head, he was like the 17th, 18th best left tackle last year. So he needs to take a step in a positive direction. I was disappointed with Fashion last year. Just transparency. Tippmann, yeah, 42nd. That is value. It's value. I went over that too quick. Tippmann's there. Sherwood, yeah. Daniel Hunter got $40 million a year. He doesn't stop the run. Does he not stop the run? Are you sure? I don't know. I don't know, because there's a difference. Like, are you capable? Are you capable of being on the field, or are you Will McDonald? Because Will McDonald's never going to get $40 million. He'll get 15, 20 maybe, but he's not going to get 40. So they have to be able to play the run somewhat to get $40 million. Concussions on his spins, speaking from experience. Yeah, so they're just not set up the best. I went over all the spins that he won on and stuff, and again, the film is out there. I put it out there. I'm not going to just talk I'm not just going to talk about it like generalizations right now. Like I quite literally break it down where frame by frame I talk about why it's not the best spin. I see teams running against Bailey and McDonald on any down. Well, if it's it's 3rd and 10, you're not gonna run. You know what I'm saying? But Dom C, what is up, dude? I was supposed to join Dom C for a show, but then we never really kind of like followed up with each other. So maybe we'll link up. But Jets X Factor's own Dom C. Let's go get into the 2027 film. Dom, we're waiting for you. On Traits Loan Storsby probably would have been a top 60 pick. Yeah, that's why I said like a low second or a high third is kind of where he seemed to be valued. The decision making on and off the field stuff is so volatile. Let somebody else roll the dice. Yeah, like, and then the lack of competition. Is he going to get suspended? What's the path to him playing and showing that he could be a starter before 2027? I just don't see it. Even a 4th round pick feels high. Maybe a 5th. I think I'm leaning more towards 5th. I do. Like people talking about 2nd, I think is crazy, dude. 2nd round pick for a guy who would have been barely a 2nd round pick this year. Could have been a 1st round pick. So could have Nussmeier. So could have Klubnik. So could have Sellers. So could come on. Like Grenade says, this may sound stupid, but mafiosos have admitted to pressing athletes with gambling addiction, getting them to do things. It sounds insane, but I can't trust the kid. Yeah, is New York the best spot for him? I don't know, man. I'm not for it. Joe, Arch is definitely the real deal. Isn't just media. I'll go back and watch. I'm not watching 2027 before the season is close to ending, even though this year my first clip play of like a quarterback was Mendoza at like October 13th. So I'm really hoping it doesn't happen again, but it probably will, realistically. I'm going to the game in LA, see what a real stadium looks like. Yeah, man. Jets Stadium is brutal. It is brutal. I've been to like 10-ish stadiums now. I plan on going to all 30 stadiums in the NFL. The Jets is bar none the worst, man. Like Tennessee, awesome. The Colts is awesome. The Cardinals, awesome little area. Looks like a freaking spaceship. Cool. There's so many cool. Obviously, Lambeau with the history, Soldier Field. They're knocking it. They're changing soon, right? But awesome field. MetLife is an absolute dump. It is a dump. And there's nothing around it. Like there's nothing. I don't know. It is awful. Braylon Allen has proven nothing so far. Yeah. Being realistic. Yeah. 0. Transparently 0. There's been nothing. There's just nothing. Do you think Braylon Allen is just going to be more of a goal line and short yardage? Yeah. But dude, honestly, Davis might even be better there. I think Davis has better vision than him. Football is not just about, he big, he good. He big, he good short yardage back. He big, he good run blocker. I think it gets too simple like that. A lot of it's vision and technique and foot pacing and setting your guys up. I think Davis is better all around. I think what Allen has over him is youth, size, and speed. That's about it, though. I don't know. Should Allen lose some weight? Nah. I don't know. The injury is kind of more of a freak injury. 8 wins and look competitive. I think AG is back. Yeah, I would say so. Even 7, I would probably lean he's back. 7 and competitive, I think he's back. 6, no, I think that's probably the end of it. Jets Worldwide, what's up, dude? What do you have? What do you base your 6-win prediction on? Is it the fact that a lot of the coaches and players are new? Is it the quality of players we have or combination? No. So quickly, because I kind of already did this, recap this, just to really boil it down, Jets Worldwide. It's a few things. One, the schedule is not the easiest in the world, right? You start off with some hard teams, the NFC North right off the jump. The Jets, tend to get, it kind of snowballs a little bit because they haven't won. And as soon as they lose a couple of games in a row early, oh shit, here we go again. So can you defeat that mindset if you start the season 1-3? And then past that, really simply, it's head coach, quarterback, OC. I don't have a ton of faith in any one of those guys. So I like the roster. And like I said before, just simply, if the Jets were to have, let's say they had KOC and Justin Herbert this year, I would say 10, 11 wins. They're going to the playoffs. But they have Geno. Yeah, big upgrade to Fields, but still, he's anywhere from, I don't know, the 22nd to 30th best quarterback in the NFL. Aaron Glenn was the worst coach in the NFL last year, bar none. And Frank Reich hasn't been successful in about a decade in the NFL. So it's that combo. OC, head coach, quarterback, I don't have a lot of faith in. Plus the hard schedule, just with the teams, and then also the slate they got with it being, what they got early. I would say 6 wins. And again, if you think I'm being crazy, that's fine. But Vegas is saying 5.5 for a reason. I'm taking the over. So I don't know. No, it's been over a decade, David. It's 2015. It's 2026. It's been 11 years. Part of evaluating is eye test. I don't know what you mean there, man. Like watching them film, yeah, sure, but like just watching on broadcast, sure. I think like part of it's going there live and seeing these guys move in real life is part of it. But I guess you could say part technically, sure. Mets or Yankees win tonight. I don't know, man. I'm so down on other teams. The Mets are one of the worst teams in the MLB with like one of the highest payrolls. The Nets trade for their picks, tank 2 years in a row to only get the 6th and the 8th pick. The Nets, man, that killed me. Brad Pitt, yeah. Jeffrey, you're not saying, yeah. I'm not trying to get into all that shit. But come on, man. They absolutely ruined the boys. Yeah, it's not so good anymore. It's not so good anymore. Joe, out of the draft picks, which 2 do you have the highest hopes for and 2 are the lowest on? Good question, Harold. Pons, bar none, number 1. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Highest hopes for it's all relative to round, right? And like I'm not gonna say like Cooper or Payne or Jackson or Klubnik. I think you're kind of pigeonholed for hopes for the top 4 picks. So I would say Pons and Cooper. Again, Cooper to me was a late first, early second. That's what I said consistently. He was my receiver 5. That was with Tyson having clean medicals, which clearly he did. So he's my receiver 5. He went as receiver 5. So I think he was good value. Just again, transparency. I think Bailey was a little bit of a reach, and I think Sadiq was a little bit of a reach. I like how they ended up with Sadiq and Cooper. Sign me up for that combo, but still have to say Cooper and Pons, with Pons being bar none easily the number 1. I did that review. It should be coming out. And if you are a person who checks me out here and then also listens to the Jake Asman show, I'm hoping it's Tuesday. I got freaking court on Tuesday, so I got to see if I can pull off Tuesday. But one of the days this week, I'll be going on the Asman show to review some Pons film as well. So Pons all day. Agree with Cooper and Basantis. Yeah, that's what I've personally done. Wax Pack says no more moral victories again in week 1. Need a solid road win to prove they're not the same old Jets. Yeah, and again, like I get that people are saying it's not a must win, and you can't say it's a must win because then if they turn around and beat the Packers, great, we're back on track. But we know this as Jets fans. Like you lose that game, you go home, you lose against the Packers, you lose against the Bears, you're 0-3. Team is getting negative. It can snowball quickly. So yeah, week 1 it's not a must win, but it's as close to a must win as you could possibly get. Especially because it's against a bad team who's supposed to be a bottom 5 team and your former coach. If we were playing the Chargers week 1 on the road, okay, you lose, we expect to lose. But Titans is one of those games this year you kind of need it. You need this. In real time, I wanted to take Tate at 2. Which, hey, Samini was out there saying that he could see Tate. There's the scouts. I don't know what the scouts Samini is talking to. I don't think they're the smartest guys in the world, but they were saying Sadiq top 10 and Tate maybe falling to 16. I couldn't disagree more. I was kind of a little bit justified in my Tate take with him going 4. If you could tell me that the draft ended up being, what's the trade up from you're talking about like a 4th round pick, let's say, to trade up 2 spots or whatever it would be from 16 to 14. I would sign up for Tate and Bain over Bailey and Sadiq. Me personally. And again, like I know the popular thing or the right thing to do would just be kind of glazing and talking about everything the Jets did. It was great. I thought it was an okay draft. I gave it a B- overall. But yeah, if you told me, hey, right now, Tate and Bain or Sadiq and Bailey, I'm definitely taking, because I had Tate and Bain both above Bailey. I would have taken both of those guys at 2 over Bailey. Me personally. And I don't hate Bailey like Sabo does, I would say. Like, I do think there's a possibility he could be okay in the run, but the last 2 years he was taken out in the run in the Big 12. What's going to happen against the Pats and the Bills? You know? Damn, my wife is cooking something good, man. That is coming through the vents. What is it? I don't know. She making something with capers? PFF has Hunter as an average run defender. Yeah, I never thought Hunter was like a bad run defender. I don't think you could be a bad run defender getting $40 million. You have to be able to play at some level. I think the fourth is fine. We basically used 2/4 on Klubnik. So like my thing is like with how that went, they kind of used 2/4 on Jackson to me, right? Like if you like Klubnik that much to trade up, then just take him at 103 and hope Jackson falls. So I'd have rather had it be that way. Take Klubnik 103, hope Jackson falls. If he doesn't, grab somebody else. I don't think Jackson was worth taking over Klubnik to then have to trade up for Klubnik. That's me. I am high on Drew Mestamaker. There are so many names out there. I don't know who to stand at this point. Trevor Clubb, but I'll do my work and I'll have at least informed to myself opinion. I could be wrong, but at least I'll watch plenty. MetLife does suck in general. There's nothing good about it. There's zero. Getting in the parking lot, security, getting into the stadium, the actual stadium, the food prices, there's nothing to it. There's nothing. For any last second questions, I'm 10 minutes behind, so I need like lightning round stuff. Let's go. Only stadium I've been to worse than MetLife is the Redskins stadium, but they were getting a new one. Yeah, I went to the Redskins too. When they were actually the Redskins. That's when Darnold threw like 3 or 4 touchdowns. It was like Tyler Croft. Was it Tyler Croft? No, Ryan Griffin. Crowder. I went to that game. Man, that was messy too, because my buddy blacked out, and then his wife was not thrilled. Not thrilled after. They were screaming at each other in the car, and I was sitting in the front seat like, that was bad. That was a bad one. Fun game, but bad one. Maybe it was worse. I don't know. The one stadium I could say that I did not like, and MetLife's still probably below all of these. Like the Redskins, like you can get in and out fine. So it was all right, I guess. The one I didn't like was Soldier Field. Now I like the nostalgia of it, all that stuff, but getting out is awful. It's awful. Now, maybe I don't know the ins and outs and the ways to do it with the Bears Stadium, but it felt like they funneled the entire stadium into one like path to leave, and the path was yay big. So you're walking out like sardines for 50 minutes to an hour. Literally, like you're walking across a bridge upstairs, you're shoulder to shoulder the entire way for literally a good 45 minutes. I did not like that at all. But still better than MetLife. Lucas Oil is amazing. The temperature is perfect. Yeah. I would say out of the ones I went to, I would say Colts is my number one. Titans probably my 2. Like downtown, you walk across the bridge, you're right there. Which I know a lot of people are going there, so enjoy. Artificial turf. The thing I will say about this is just quickly about the artificial turf. I know players prefer grass, but if you actually look at some of the injuries, there's not much of a difference. People can have their preferences, but people act like turf is an 80% injury rate, or there's 80% more injuries, where really it's like, like 0.1% higher injuries on turf. So it's really not that different. Now there's different levels of turf, right? Like there's bad turf, better turf, whatever. So people do prefer grass over turf, but I do think generally that turf versus grass is a little bit overrated. One may be a preference, but there's players out there like I don't really give a shit. The Jets don't have good turf, so that's the problem. But it's not like the injury rate is drastically different. It's really not. It's actually very minuscule based on what I watched, or based on what I've seen. Like there's like studies about it, which realistically the NFL and realistically the NFL is a multi-billion-dollar business. If the injuries were that much different, they'd be like, okay, you're required to play on grass because we want our superstars playing. The NFL would be like, fuck it, who cares? We get a lot more injured on turf. Let's just get our superstars injured. Like realistically thinking, right? Like they would force grass, but it's not that different. I think that's generally a overstated thing. But I get it. But I get what you're saying in general, because MetLife does not have good turf. There's better turf than MetLife. John, I think athleticism matters a lot for tight ends. So why I like Sadiq, a lot of tight end production is scheme and whether they incorporate it, in my opinion. Chubb. Okay, let's see. Coaching matters a ton. I think the NFL is chess, and our meat head coaches are our best playing checkers. Meat head coaches. Yeah, it's coaching is massive. It is massive. There's a reason that Shanahan and McVay and all these guys are successful year after year. You know. I see Mr. Asman took my slogan. I don't know, man. I don't know if anybody took your slogans. I think I said Chubb for club when I was hammered right after they. Or no, that was the first. They didn't even draft him. But I think I said Chubb for club like before I even saw your. I don't know if that's yours. I don't know. I don't know if you could claim that. To be honest, don't mess their bait too much. Hopefully they'll all kill it. Still keep watching The Boys. I'm struggling. There's 2 more episodes left, right? Or 1. I think the one just dropped like the other day. So there's 1 more episode. You got to finish it out, right? You got to ride it out. I just watched that. I watched just like recently again. I've got like an hour or 2, maybe at the end of the day to watch some TV. I watched the Punisher one, which was okay. That one CGI scene was horrific. I watched the Hulk Hogan documentary, which is at the end got me. You get softer when you have kids, man. You get softer when you have kids. You see the guy like passes away, whatever. And then like he's talking about his favorite memories being his kids, and it winds back to like the VCR copies of his kids playing with him and shit. It's like, God damn, dude. I got so much more soft when I had kids. It kills you, man. Pons might be my favorite pick of the draft. He should. Might end up being the best player. I can tell you right now, just a little preview. Who cares? But I did the top 25 Jets of going into the season, and Pons is the highest rookie I have. I think Pons will be the best player relative to his position this year for the Jets. Now, yeah, Cooper, will play a little bit, maybe a little bit more value, fine. Bailey, more value, fine. But relative to their position, I think Pons will be the best. In terms of I think he'll be an average to plus average corner. Do I think David Bailey in year 1 is going to be an average or plus average DN? Probably not, just because of the run game, etc. 6-7 sacks, not great in the run game, and I don't think that's an average player. Sadiq, can't say average yet. An average, I guess, like tight ends 1s. He's not going to be an average in year 1, in my opinion. Cooper, receiver 2/3. Above average for receiver 2, maybe, but I think Pons is best relative position right now. Frugal D, what is up, dude? I'm about to end. What do you have? I'm a police officer, so I have to testify. It's stupid. I have to testify. It's really dumb. It's really dumb. I should not have to be there, but I will go there. I will go there. I will get some overtime. It's for a domestic where I showed up and basically somebody was injured, and on domestics, if somebody's injured, you have to make an arrest. So I went there, saw somebody was injured, arrested them. I don't know why I have to freaking testify. That's what I'm going to say. By law, I have to arrest them. That's what I did. Okay, see you later. Thank you. Goodbye. So hopefully maybe I can get out of it, or hopefully it's early enough where I can get back to Jake show like 4:30. It's at 3:00, so we'll see. I'm going to get stuck there until 6. I'm going to be pissed. Salah openers. Yeah, minus the Bills, right? We lost pretty much every one, I think. Dan Brown. Yeah, throwback name. Best stadium food? I don't know, man. I don't really get a lot of the stadium food, I'll be honest. Yeah, I don't. I'm legitimately trying to think, Kev. I don't think at any other stadium I've ever gotten food. Like at Jets games, every once in a while, I'll get like chicken fingers. I'm drinking, want to soak it up a little bit, or I'm just hungry as shit. I'll find. But I honestly don't know if I've ever gotten food at another stadium. I've gotten beer. I don't know if I've ever gotten food. Yeah, I don't know. The Cardinals facility is fairly new and very well taken care of. The fans are very nice. It would be a great away game to hit up if you can swing it. I just moved back. Oh, we're from where, Yeti? Where'd you move from? The thing I will say about any stadium is, and I've been to quite a few of them, it's all about luck of the draw and who you're sitting around, right? Because all it takes is some guy who got too drunk in the parking lot to be behind you, and then your entire stadium experience is ruined, right? Because I've had, like, I know people who have had very bad experiences in Buffalo. I was fine in Buffalo, minus the fact that my friend was on my shoulders in the parking lot. I can show you the video. Maybe I'll queue it up for next week. Somebody threw a full beer can at us. It missed us. I didn't realize it until after when I watched the video. So maybe not great there, but in Arizona, the Jets, when they lost in 2016, it was like 27-3 in the fourth quarter. I took my jersey off. I was wearing a white t-shirt and somebody threw a hot dog at me. So it all depends on where the luck of the draw, really. Are you sitting next to a drunk asshole? Now, obviously there's games who you have a higher chance of getting into altercations. Eagles, apparently the LA teams in the parking lot, you got to be a little bit careful. There are some teams, obviously, but yeah, Cardinals is generally probably safe. I just got one asshole who's a couple of rows behind me, who I wasn't even fighting with anybody. I argued with 0 people. I wasn't cheering. I was wearing a Jets jersey. I took it off in like the third quarter, and I got a hot dog. Glizzy to the dome or to the back. I don't think he actually hit me in the head. Pons is a dog. He is, no doubt. One episode to tie all the boys' storylines feels like Amazon forced writer. Yeah, I think it was a thing where they wanted another season, and it just was failing a little bit. So they wrapped it all up. But yeah, I don't see how they finish all the storyline. And I have 2 episodes left, but how are they going to finish all the storylines? I don't see it happening. So yeah, it's gonna be rushed. It's like Game of Thrones. Rushed as hell last season. Damn, sorry, I gotta be there, but good story. Court. No, it's whatever, dude. Something you gotta do shit you don't want to do. But yeah. I'm from Utica, lived in Tuscan for 30 years, just moved back to Syracuse. Oh, cool. Like work or something, or family or whatever. Hope it all works out. But I actually I thought it was going to only be until 5:30, so I still got to record an Omar Cooper review. So I'm going to go and do some Omar Cooper after this. But yeah, like I said, ton of draft reviews coming. Haven't been killing it with the views on those, to be honest. A little bit disappointing, but it's okay. I know like some of the subscribers to the website have been watching them, so it is what it is. Going to put it out anyway. All of the draft picks are going to be out. All of the free agents are going to be out. Again, all the way from Tim Patrick to the biggest signing the Jets made. And I'm going back and I'm watching like 20 Jets 2025 seasons again, anywhere from Will McDonald and Olu and Membu to, like I said, Malachi Moore, Maui Noah, Arian Smith, Isaiah Davis. I did a review on, or I'm doing a review on. I clipped it. I just got to record the show. So I appreciate you guys. I'll probably be back in about 2 weeks again. Again, off season. I'll do every other week just because I'd like to use this time to record some shows as well. So I have to record 23 shows in about 2 months, which isn't brutal. I could do it, but yeah. Curious to take with Cooper playing outside. We'll watch the review. Yeah, I know. Yeah, O'Regan, you're one who watches the all of the reviews, or not all of them, but I know at least like the full reviews. You'll comment and stuff. So O'Regan, I definitely appreciate you. I will catch you guys on the next stream.